This video was brought to you by my loyal patrons. Pledge today and receive exclusive perks. Link in the description.
Now's my chance. No one's around to stop me. Driver always said I could manage without him. If I just tried to move my wheels. It's working! I can drive myself. Oh, I'm so clever. All right, that's enough now. Time to stop. How do I brake? Oh no. Oh no! I can't stop! I can't stop! Help! Someone help me! Ah! Oh no 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 no! Help! Somebody stop me! Huh? Toby, what was that? What happened? Huh? Where's Thomas?
You miserable engine! Just look what you've done to our breakfast!
Well, I think Thomas just attempted to go off without a driver, Percy.
You are a very naughty engine, Thomas. You've had some mishaps before, but this is a new one for you.
I know, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
You'll have to go to the works now and have your front mended. It'll be a long job, so in the meantime, a diesel will do your work.
Diesel, sir?
Huh?
Yes, that's correct. I'm bringing in a diesel railcar for a trial. Diesels always stay in their sheds till they are wanted. They don't go gallivanting off to breakfast in Stationmaster's houses. Until she arrives, though, I'll have to reorganize the schedule.
Oh, great. Thomas is the one who messes up and we get punished. I mean, a diesel on our line?
Oh, don't fret, Percy. We haven't met her yet. How bad can she be?
Some may describe Daisy, the diesel railcar, as sassy, stubborn, and quite selfish. And they'd be right. But there's more to this railcar than meets the eye. She is also quite fabulous, rather cultured, prides herself on being perfectly modern, and is a lover of the arts and of winter. Well, was, I should say. Stylish in how she carries herself, Daisy commands an audience everywhere she goes. She basks in the limelight and is impossible to miss. Daisy is a fascinating one. She is someone that I've wanted to cover in Sodor's Finest for a long time, but after the theory that she was a last-minute addition to the series was recently confirmed, I've been on a big Daisy kick, and I've been rewatching all her episodes again. So, what a better time than now to give this queen her long overdue time in the spotlight. As always, we'll start our Daisy discussion at the beginning. Before we discuss Daisy, we need to discuss Thomas. More specifically, Thomas's design. Reverend Wilbert Awdry greatly disliked how Thomas was illustrated in the early books. He did not like how his running board was dipped at the front, and not at the rear like on a real E2 class tank engine. In his eyes, it now meant that his buffers were placed at different heights, and that bugged him. So to amend this issue once and for all, he chose to write a story in which Thomas would have a big crash and have to be sent away to have his front mended, so he could return canonically with a totally flat running board. This idea eventually became the premise of Book 16, Branch Line Engines, in 1961. In one of Thomas's most famous stories, Thomas Comes to Breakfast, Thomas attempted to drive himself, which resulted in him crashing into a Stationmaster's house. This was the book's first story, and kicks off the plot. The rest of the book covers what happens on the branch line while he's away being repaired. Naturally, there would have to be some sort of replacement for him, and Awdry decided that this would be a good opportunity to bring in a new Diesel character. a DMU, an increasingly common sight on branch lines in the UK at the time. The DMU would be named Daisy. Daisy is a British Railways Class 101 railcar. The 101s were diesel multiple units, or DMU for short, and were all built by Metro Camel in either 2, 3, or 4 car sets. They were essentially powered coaches, and very light in their designs, making them ideal for branch line work. These were some of the longest lasting DMUs in Britain, being first built in the mid-50s and lasting till 2003. One of the final ever 101s still in service, number 101685, was withdrawn in December 2003. It was preserved on the North Yorkshire Moors Railway and affectionately named Daisy after the character. Interestingly though, no 101 was ever built as a single car unit, making Daisy an utterly strange anomaly. She actually bears more of a resemblance to something like a Class 121, which were designed as single units. So, why is she a 101? Audrey seemed dead set on her being a single car unit from the beginning. As he states in the 1980 annual, he constructed his own model of Daisy while writing branch line engines, and hadn't fully figured out the character design yet. What he used for her was a trying Class 101 twin-car set, likely because it was the only easily accessible DMU model on shelves at the time. He cut the cab off of one end and stuck it on the square end of the power car, turning it into a single unit. He said the model ran quite reliably, and it is still around today. His Daisy can regularly be seen on the Farquhar layout, on display at the Tallyclin Railway. This model is what was used as reference for illustrator John Kenny. And so, Daisy canonically became a unique, single-car Class 101. And as these never existed in real life, Audrey wrote into the lore that Daisy, like his own model, was specially built by Metro Camel to the order of Sir Charles Hatt, to work on the Farquhar branch line. Daisy arrives in the book's second story, aptly titled Daisy. The Fat Controller introduces her to Percy and Toby, and says that she is here on trial.
"Please, sir," asked Percy, "will she go, sir, when Thomas comes back, sir?" "That depends," said the Fat Controller.
I don't know how she could be specifically built for Sodor, and also be there on trial. I'm not sure how that works. Where would Hatt have sent her if he chose not to keep her? Anyways, Toby and Percy showed Daisy around, but Daisy was fussy, and nothing they do seemed to please her. There's a lot of little details about Daisy in this story that I find really clever. DMUs are quite different to steam engines, obviously, in how they look and how they're maintained, and Audrey worked those differences into quirks of Daisy's character. For example, DMUs are passenger stock, motorized coaches basically, so they're usually stored with coaches. Audrey personified this by making Daisy dislike the engine shed and prefer the carriage shed, for it was less smelly.
"This is dreadfully smelly," she announced. "I'm highly sprung, and anything smelly is bad for my swerves."
Another example, DMUs don't usually pull rolling stock. They have buffers and couplings so they can be towed around if needed, but they usually don't pull anything. And this was personified through Daisy's outburst the next morning, when she refuses to pull a milk van. She doesn't like pulling, and uses the excuse that it's bad for her swerves, as she puts it.
"Daisy," he says, "never, never pull. You're highly sprung, and pulling is bad for your swerves."
Whatever that means. A further example, Daisy gets so worked up that she blows a fuse. This is personifying Diesel's tendency to fail when they overheat, and Daisy overheated because she became so red-hot angry.
"She was so cross that she blew a fuse. Told you," she said.
It's been stated many times by many people, but Audrey really was a genius at properly personifying real-life engines. He took their real-life quirks and turned them into personality traits. Daisy's comeuppance in her first story comes from this refusal to pull trucks, and she exposes who she truly is in front of the crew and the passengers.
"I can't understand it," said the shunter. "Whatever made the Fat Controller send us such a feeble, feeble?" spluttered Daisy. "Let me—" "Stop arguing," grumbled the passengers. "We're late already."
Needless to say, they weren't impressed. But she got her way in the end, and it gave her the confidence that she can do whatever she pleases.
That's a good story, she chuckled. I'll do just what work I choose and no more. But she said it to herself.
Now, you're probably all more familiar with how Daisy looks in the TV series. Her appearance is very different in the books. Like all big diesels, her face is embedded into her body and is painted the same color as the rest of her. She also has two faces, like all the engines with two cabs do. I personally hate this, but I can't deny that it's true. In one illustration, her face is on the front end, and in the next, it's on the rear end, looking at the van behind her. You can tell which end we're looking at based on the color of the lights. When you see red, it means it's the end that's traveling backwards. Another example of this is present in Snow Problem. Face on her front end going forwards here, and then she reverses down the line, and her face is now on her rear end. It's so weird to think about. And how does this even work in practice? Can both ends talk at once? Is one end always mute? Does the face just change what end it's on, depending at what she's looking at? We need answers, damn it! Like all the diesels in this era, Daisy had an air of thinking that she was better because she was newer. She saw herself above pretty much everyone, rather notably, the coaches.
I'm the latest diesel, highly sprung and right up to date. You won't want Thomas's bumpy old Annie and Clarabelle now.
And that will be relevant a lot later in the video. She also saw herself above Toby and thought his cowcatchers were outdated and stupid.
I've not got stupid cowcatchers, but I'm not frightened. I'd just toot and they'd all get out of the way.
Her overconfidence finally caught up with her in the next story, Bullseyes, when she comes face to face with a bull on the track named Champion. Champion does not move for Daisy, and instead sniffs at her.
Oof.
Daisy, disgusted, backs away in her first big moment of humiliation. The story spreads, and Daisy suffers more humiliation from some boys who tease her.
Look, he shouted, I've got a quarter of bull's eyes. I think they're super, don't you? Grrr, said Daisy. Keep your old bull's eyes.
The final story, Percy's Predicament, is a Percy story. Some trucks cause poor Percy to crash, and Daisy, in a rare moment of selflessness, helps Toby clean up the mess. The Fat Controller was more than ready to send Daisy away after causing so many issues, but Toby put in a good word for her, and the Fat Controller, rather reluctantly, gave Daisy a second chance.
However, Toby says you worked hard yesterday after Percy's accident, so you shall have another chance. Thank you, sir. I will work hard, sir.
I can't help but feel that we missed the character growth part of Daisy's arc here. Her selfless act of helping clean up the mess is pretty glossed over and kind of comes out of nowhere. She's been nothing but selfish until this point, so what exactly happened that changed her? Was she so horrified by Percy's crash that she put her own needs to the side for once? Maybe, but we never see it. Nonetheless, Daisy turned a new leaf after that, and became a much more hardworking engine. I do like that this book ends showing Daisy, and to a greater extent, diesels in general, in a positive light. Our only example of a diesel character prior to her was Diesel, who was a troublemaker and soured the engine's views on diesels moving forward. Daisy proved to be good in the end, and showed the audience that not all diesels are bad or can't learn sense. Percy even uses her as an example of a good diesel in a later book.
It's all because of yon diesels, they're all devils. Fair play, Douglas, reminded Percy. Some are nice. Look at Rusty and Daisy.
Daisy only had one more appearance in Wilbert's books, and that was in his final one, Tramway Engines. In the story Mavis meets her for the first time. At this point in the story, Mavis has grown frustrated with Toby not trusting her with trucks, and she gets some rather bad advice from Daisy.
Toby says only steam engines can manage trucks properly. What rubbish, put in Daisy. Depend on it, my dear. Anything steam engines do, we diesels do better.
I'm not gonna lie, this feels a little out of character for her, in my opinion. Of course, Daisy still has her preferences, though her throwing shade at Toby feels a little bit wrong, considering he stuck up for her in her last appearance. I'll give it this, though. It is quite fitting that Daisy would give bad advice regarding trucks, considering that she really does know nothing about them. She never pulls them. Christopher Awdry used Daisy rather frequently in his books. It took a little while for her to reappear in them, but once she popped up, She was a mainstay in pretty much all the books focused on Thomas's branch line. She even got a few spotlight roles. Her first noteworthy appearance was in Book 36, Thomas Comes Home. The book's first story, Snow Problem, shows Daisy dealing with the nuisances of winter. The story begins with Daisy finding snow rather fun and enjoying the snowfall.
"What fun," she said to herself. "The other engines don't like snow, but I think it's pretty."
A blizzard sweeps through, delaying her connection at the junction. Her crew worries that Daisy's light weight will cause her to get stuck in the drifts. Daisy confidently pushes on, until the snow finally wins its battle against her. Poor Daisy sticks, and her passengers end up being rescued by Harold. She's left for a whole week until the snow stops falling, and she can finally be dug out. The moral of this story? Snow sucks.
She doesn't think snow is so pretty now.
She appears again in the book's final story, Thomas Comes Home, where she meets George the Steamroller, working at a crossing. Daisy tries to be friendly with him, but George has no interest in getting on with trains.
"The Fat Controller is holding a welcome home celebration at the junction," Daisy told George. "Lot of nonsense," he snorted. "Makes no difference. Your railway will be a road before long. You'll see."
On the day Thomas returns from his stay in York, Daisy is on her way to the junction to meet him, when a gust of wind blows one of George's cones under her. It gets jammed in her brakes and renders her unable to move. The crew manages to get her going again, and she makes it to the junction just in time for Thomas's arrival. And that's it. That's all that happens in this one. In Book 39, the railway celebrates the Railway Series' Golden Jubilee. All the engines are brought down to Tidmouth for the celebration, and we get this nice mention of it being Daisy's first time at the main sheds. This is an interesting detail, and it makes sense. Daisy was built for Thomas's branch line. Why would she ever have a reason to stay at Tidmouth with the big engines? It's pretty fun seeing all the characters, Daisy, Donald, Douglas, Gordon, etc., all together interacting. Daisy's final appearance of note is in Book 41, Thomas and Victoria, in the story, Eels on Wheels. In the summer, snakes are often spotted near the line, and Daisy wonders how they move without legs. "And neither have you," her driver replies, "but you manage all right." One day, she brings up crates from the junction for a restaurant in Farquhar. Within them are live eels. A boy running past knocks a crate out of a porter's hand, and it explodes on the track in front of Daisy. The eels escape and wriggle their way under her wheels. Daisy is so frightened and grossed out that she blows a fuse again. Unable to move, Thomas collects her passengers, and Daisy goes away to the shed to sulk. That night, the others tease her. "My old railway was near a place called Ely," says Toby. "Think of that." And Daisy's tenure in the Railway Series ends with her making a face of disgust at Toby. I would say that Daisy was quite underused if it weren't for Chris resurrecting her, and thank goodness he did. Something that I like about how Daisy is written in Chris's books is that it's very clear that she's mellowed out since her first appearance. She gets on fine with everyone, even Gordon at one point, and is very much one of the team now. But she still has that overconfidence, as evident when she overlooks the dangers of snow, or decides that she's not scared of snakes, only for such things to change her mind later. I think Daisy presents a great middle ground of what a Diesel character is in this series. On one end of the spectrum, you have Diesels like Diesel, who embodies all the negative perceptions of diesel engines. Slimy, devious, scheming, and untrustworthy. And on the other end, you have Diesels like Boko, who has no ill will towards steam engines, and is just a nice guy with a sense of humor. And smack dab in the middle, you have Daisy, someone who was selfish and condescending, but learned sense over time, and is generally good-natured. But she still has those moments of overconfidence that end up biting her in the butt. But I like that about Daisy. She never fully lost her edge, so to speak, and provides another example of just what a diesel engine character in this series can be.
A few days later, the Diesel arrived. The Fat Controller stood on the platform.
"Ah, Toby and Percy. Here is Daisy, the Diesel Railcar. She's come to help while Thomas is, indisposed, we'll say. She'll be managing the passenger duties so you two can focus on goods.
Hello? Oh. Will she be staying when Thomas comes back, sir?
I suppose that depends. We'll see how she manages, and go from there. However long she stays, I hope you will both make her feel welcome and comfortable. Can I trust you to do that?
Of course, sir.
We'll try, sir.
Excellent. Run along now and show Daisy your shed. She'll want a rest after her journey.
And off the three went. Toby and Percy quickly found that Daisy was hard to please.
This is where you live? This place is dreadfully smelly. Ugh! I'm highly sprung, and anything smelly is bad for my swerves.
What are swerves?
No idea.
So next, they tried the carriage shed.
How's this then, Daisy?
It's better. I suppose it'll do. But whatever is that rubbish?
You certainly don't mean
What
us.
a perfectly wretched thing to say.
Oi, order.
We won't stay here to be insulted like this. Percy, Toby, take us away, please.
Gladly.
So Toby and Percy took Annie, Clarabelle and Henrietta away and left Daisy on her own. She didn't mind one bit. That night, Daisy slept soundly, while Percy and Toby meanwhile soothed the coach's hurt feelings.
Oh, she better not be staying here once Thomas returns.
I agree, Annie. We don't need that slime on our line.
Oh, Toby, what are we going to do? I don't think Daisy's going to fit in well here at all. All she does is insult everything.
Don't you worry, Percy, because I've got a plan to teach her a lesson. When you take your first goods train tomorrow, leave the milk tanker behind.
Why?
You'll see. Something tells me Daisy isn't a big fan of pulling things.
The next morning, Daisy backed into the station feeling bright and cheerful. She was excited to show off.
Look at me, everyone! I'm the latest diesel. A special single car 101, highly sprung and bang up to date. The best of the best. You'll never want to go back to those bumpy old Annie and Clara, whatever their names are. Climb aboard now, and I will give you the smoothest... What's going on back there? What is that?
It's a milk tanker, Daisy.
I can see that. Why is it coupled to me?
'Cause Thomas always delivered the milk to the dairy on his first run. Surely you can pull one tanker, right? Being the best of the best and all.
Oh, I certainly could, but I will not. I don't pull trucks. Percy can do it. He loves messing about with them.
Oh, come on, Daisy. It's just one tanker. We'll drop it off on our way down.
No! I will not!
Oh, don't act like that, Daisy. Come on.
No! I won't go!
Oh, now that's done it, you've gone and blown a fuse.
Told you. Fitter's orders.
The crew managed to restart Daisy, but by now they were running very late. The passengers were getting cross.
Are we going anytime soon?
We have a meeting at Tidmouth in 20 minutes.
I'm not going anywhere until you uncouple that.
I can't understand it. Whatever made Hat think to send us such a feeble diesel?
Feeble? Let me tell...
Shut up already, shut up! Fine, Daisy, fine! You win! We'll uncouple the tanker! Happy now?
Good boy, Daisy. Enjoy your first journey. You've made a real example of yourself this morning, I think.
But Daisy didn't enjoy her journey. She spent all day thinking of what she'd say to Toby when they next met.
Daisy in the TV series is so interesting to discuss because every single one of her appearances raises the question, why? She wasn't supposed to be in Season 2 and was tacked on in the 11th hour. Why? She completely disappeared after that, and then randomly popped up for a lead role in Season 4. Why? And then a random cameo in Calling All Engines, and never ever mentioned again after that. Why? She's a fascinating subject to discuss, so let's jump into it. We'll start at Season 2, where Daisy makes her debut in the episode Daisy. The season skipped Bullseyes and jumped straight into Percy's predicament after, condensing the whole branch line engine saga. Despite that, both episodes pretty faithfully adapt the original book stories and make few changes. Although there is one glaring difference: the way Daisy looks. Daisy's design in the TV series is a bit of a rabbit hole, and it all stems from her originally not being planned to appear in Season 2 to begin with. Now, I did a whole video on this pretty recently, so I won't go into a lot of detail here. Go watch that video if you want to know more. But as a quick addendum to it, recently some new information has come out. Earlier this month, we got new photos of the Season 2 script lot from the Britt Allcroft auction. And apparently, Drip Tank was going to be episode 16, not The Runaway. Drip Tank was the final story in More About Thomas the Tank Engine, the only of the 4 that they didn't adapt. The note on the script states, "Too much Percy." So from this, I can only guess that they likely scrapped the episode pretty early on, because there were too many Percy-heavy stories this season. That makes Drip Tank the 3rd known story to be cancelled before filming began, joining Gordon Goes Foreign and Double Header. Now, I'm only just guessing here, but I reckon The Runaway replaced Drip Tank. So to recap, this is likely the original order before filming began. And here's what they landed on when filming started. This is of course all just assumption going off what we know. How funny that they thought there were too many Percy episodes this early, because they would ironically end up having to adapt Percy's predicament later anyway. I'm talking about all this here because I didn't really want to make a whole video just addressing this, so I figured, it's relevant enough to mention here, right? Anyways, back to Daisy. Daisy was a last-minute addition to the season when 2 other episodes, The Missing Coach and Percy's Promise, were cancelled after filming began. So they scrambled together Daisy and Percy's Predicament, and for that, they needed a Daisy prop. You could say that Daisy's prop was a bit rushed, being built in the 11th hour, with an end result that is a little peculiar. Daisy reuses Boco's chassis, the only other big diesel in the show at the time, with a special 2-axle bogie made for her that was swapped out at the front, most of the time. They designed her around the pre-existing chassis, resulting in a rather large overhang over the 2-axle bogie. They also didn't have time to design and sculpt her own faces, so she uses casts of Boco's. Boco's faces are quite tall, and sitting so low on her body places her buffers below them extremely low. I imagine that if she was always a part of the season's production from the get-go, they would have given her her own unique face designs that were more squat, more akin to the book illustrations. Her being built well after all the others is why she doesn't appear on the Tidmouth set with everyone in Thomas and the Missing Christmas Tree, because she didn't exist yet at the time of filming, or why her name board is the only one that was filmed on a different set than everyone else, because it was filmed way later on. Honestly, diving into this theory that fans have speculated on for ages for a video, only to have it confirmed during the editing of it, was a big reason why I felt so inspired to cover Daisy next in Sodor's Finest. There's a ton to discuss with her. Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell's theme song for Daisy was very interesting. It's based on The Stripper by David Rose. Yes, it's really called that. It's a famous song. You've definitely heard it through osmosis.
And ugly broads, way back when they had no...
This is such a crazy choice to use as inspiration for a Thomas the Tank Engine character, but I love it. It's a bop. It's so different. It's showy and flamboyant, and it suits Daisy's diva personality like a glove. She is someone who commands to be looked at, after all.
Look at me, she purred to the passengers. I am the latest diesel, highly sprung and right up to date.
I'll be honest though, when I was a kid, all I thought of when I heard Daisy's theme was Cruella de Vil. I mean, listen.
Cruella de Vil, Cruella de Vil. If she doesn't scare you, no evil thing will.
Oh,
to
Roger.
see her is to take a sudden chill. Cruella, Cruella.
And in my kid brain, that made sense to me. Cruella is fabulous and a total diva, obsessed with her looks, and she's a villain. Daisy's all of those things too, and she was kind of a villain in her first appearance, so I thought that's what they were going for with her. The more I do these Sodor's Finest, the more I find to appreciate about Mike and Junior's work, and how inspired their character themes were. They chose such very different pieces of music that made each character stand out and summed up what they're all about really well. Like how Oliver's theme is a grand escape theme based on The Great Escape. Donald and Douglas's is like a march, encompassing the brothers in arms, no man left behind philosophy that they're all about. And Daisy's is super flamboyant and showy. The original Thomas score is just truly unmatched. Let's go back to Daisy's design. As Daisy reused Boko's faces, she also gained a gray face, matching the other characters. Daisy never wore makeup in the books. That was totally a TV series invention. And if I had to guess, they did this for two reasons. One, to really disguise the fact that her faces were Boko's and to make them look as different as possible. And to their credit, it worked. I didn't even realize they were the same as a kid, and I was mind blown when someone online pointed that out years later. And two, to really make it clear that this was a girl train. She was the first female engine of the series, and at this time, the only one. So the extravagant makeup made it visually clear to the audience that she was a girl. This would end up biting them in the butt later on when the show was brought to the United States in the late 80s. Brett Allcroft's Shining Time Station co-producer Rick Sigelkow did not like Daisy. Basically, he didn't like that the only girl train looked like a female stereotype, with the extravagant makeup and whatnot. Now, I would argue that the extravagant makeup totally suits Daisy's character, but I also think that it's fair to say Sigelkow had a point. It wasn't a good look that the only girl train at the time looked like this. And I'm just going to assume that her David Rose-inspired theme music probably didn't help either. And so, at first, her episodes were axed from the States.
The Americans also killed off an engine called Daisy, who with fluttering eyelids was considered a female stereotype.
How ironic, considering how much trouble they went through in the 11th hour to adapt her stories for Season 2. However, Allcroft and Sigelkow reached a deal. Daisy's episodes would not be axed, but instead held off on airing here, dubbing them only for home media. This influenced the decision to adapt Mavis's stories for Season 3 to get a different female character in the public knowledge first, and is also why Daisy does not appear at all in that season. Her role in Mavis was replaced with Diesel, and to be honest, I think this was a good change. I thought this moment was a bit out of character for Daisy in the original book, so using the untrustworthy Diesel instead to deliver bad advice about trucks, who infamously has a history with mishandling them, and has a notorious grudge against the steam engines, seemed totally appropriate. A fair change. Daisy's episodes never aired on Shining Time Station, and only came out on VHS well after Mavis's were out, in 1993, a whole 7 years after they first aired in the UK. This whole ordeal to push Mavis first is really funny in retrospect, when you consider that Mavis was the one who wore the extravagant makeup in the books, complete with pink lipstick and long, fluttery eyelashes. And Daisy didn't. That was totally inverted when brought to the screen, and now Daisy is the one that we associate with it. I totally get where Sigelkow was coming from, and I'm glad that they landed on not outright banning Daisy's episodes here. They just held them off. But it is funny when you take into account what came next, because once the floodgates were open, Daisy was pushed hard. I don't know how many of my viewers are old enough to really remember this, but there was a time for a few years in the 90s when Daisy was really present in the show's marketing. She appeared on posters, got all sorts of random merchandise because she was the girl character. Anyone here want a drink out of the Daisy mug? And she even had her own VHS tape, named after her. I mean, Mavis didn't really get pushed like this. Quite ironic when you consider that at one point, They were set on trying to sweep Daisy under the rug here. Come Season 4, Rick Sigelkow was less involved in the decision-making. Daisy was now fully in the state's public eye at this point, so I assume they saw little issue in continuing to use her again. And so Daisy finally reappeared in the episode Bullseyes, the story that was skipped in Season 2. This is probably my favorite of the 3 Daisy episodes. Despite being technically out of order in the timeline, it works surprisingly well as a standalone, and has some really fun, unique music tracks. It is also the only time that we ever hear Michael Angelis voice Daisy in the show.
Pooh, she said. It's easy, I just toot and they all stand aside.
And aside from a brief cameo in Rusty to the Rescue, which wasn't even meant to be her, Daisy completely disappeared again after that. No appearances or mentions in Seasons 5, 6, 7, or 8. The show had just completely forgotten about her. Despite this, she is mentioned in the 2003 Writer's Bible used for the hit entertainment era, in which she is described as a motorized branch line coach. I mean, I guess that's not totally inaccurate. It also mentions how she is fiercely loyal to her driver and engineer. If they're not with her, she doesn't move. I think this got a little jumbled in translation, and they meant her fitter, but the idea of her being loyal to all her crew is pretty nice. I also like how it specifically mentions that Boko and Daisy cannot appear on screen together because they share a chassis. It's so surreal seeing names like Daisy or Boko in material made for the hit era. It's almost like a glimpse into an alternate universe where they all appeared in the later model seasons. Daisy did make one more final appearance, and in the hit era, a totally out-of-the-blue cameo in Calling All Engines.
Steamies and diesels came from all over the island.
There she is! No build-up or anything. Just bam! Here's Daisy. It is so weird seeing her on a modern hit era set, after being absent for so many years at this point. She almost looks out of place. She doesn't speak, she isn't acknowledged by name in the narrative, she's just there, inexplicably, watching, judging. They did use her in a learning segment, which involved her helping Toby with passengers. We get a couple cool shots, like this close-up of her windows. Daisy on the Kelstorp set, that's pretty fun. And this one of the two racing down Gordon's Hill side by side. But it's a learning segment, and there's nothing much to say here other than cool shots. And that is it for Daisy in the model series. 3 episodes and a cameo in a special. That's it. That's her legacy here. And there's nothing to really talk about with her character-wise that we didn't already cover in the books. The show did not really bring anything new to the table with her, other than a new design and her banger theme song. I am very happy that she wasn't excluded from the show like originally planned, and enjoy her episodes just fine, don't get me wrong. She's a very fun character. But speaking frankly, it's the behind-the-scenes history with Daisy that I find much more interesting in this era. There's so much more to talk about there than what she actually does in the episodes. She is one of the most underused secondary characters of the whole show, and I'd reckon that most of us wouldn't really give much thought to her today, had she not had a total resurgence and renaissance in the CGI series years later. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
That afternoon, Toby returned from delivering the milk. He was still chuckling to himself about the morning's ordeal.
Well, look who's here. Did you enjoy your first trip, Daisy?
As much as I could have. No thanks to you.
Well, you seem to manage fine with that blown fuse. But I wouldn't know about such things, being a steam tram and all.
Is that why you wear, whatever those ugly things are?
What? You mean my cow catchers? These keep people and animals from getting hurt if they stray onto the line in front of me.
You mean to tell me they wouldn't move out of the way if they saw you coming? You know what I think, Toby. I think you're afraid of getting hurt yourself.
Ha! Me? Afraid?
Yes. You don't see me wearing such stupid things because I don't need them. I have a horn. All I have to do is toot, and everyone, people and animals, get out of my way.
And just to make herself quite clear, Daisy sounded her horn as loudly as she could.
Well, that was just unnecessary.
So long, little Toby. Don't let the big scary squirrels frighten you.
One day she'll learn.
Daisy was feeling pleased with herself again.
Whoa! So you're Thomas's replacement, eh? Well, hello!
Out of the way, old tin can. Things are changing around here.
Oh, I like this one.
See? It's easy. Everyone moves aside for me. Poor little Toby. I'm sorry he's frightened.
Now, Champion the Bull was not at all fierce, but one morning he was cross and hungry. He'd broken free of his fence, slithered down a slope and found himself in a new kind of field. It had a brown track and yummy grass on either side of it. Perfect for breakfast. Champion's mealtime was rudely interrupted.
A bull. Oh, this is perfect. Now I'll show old Toby. Go on, off you go.
Champion was too busy grazing to take notice of her.
Excuse me. You're in the way, Mr. Bull. Come on, away from the track, please.
Champion kept grazing.
Go on, get, go. Oh, this is all wrong. He's supposed to move aside. Isn't he afraid of me? That shoe.
He's just curious is all. He's harmless. Go on, Daisy, nudge him aside.
Look at his horns. If I bump into him, he might hurt me. Maybe we should just...
Just then, Champion came close and sniffed at Daisy.
Oh, back off, smelly. We're done. Goodbye.
And that was that. Daisy did no more. Later that day, Toby was travelling home. He was stopped at a station.
There's a bull on the tracks up the line just after the tunnel. Daisy and her crew tried to shoo it away, but they couldn't get it to move.
Oh, did she now?
Do you think you could?
Of course, sir. We'll get that bull back to his farmer. There you are. Come on, old boy, let's get moving. Breakfast time is over. Come on, champion, let's go.
And that did the trick. Breakfast over, Champion trotted away to join the farmer.
I'd like to see Daisy do that.
That evening, Percy arrived back at the junction after a hard day's work.
Hello, Toby. What's been happening? I just saw Daisy pass, and she was fuming over something fierce.
Oh boy, do I have a story for you, Percy. Daisy tried shooing a bull off the line earlier, and it wouldn't budge. She got so scared of it, she ran away.
The story spread fast. Daisy was on her last journey of the day when she met some boys at a station platform.
Hey, look, Daisy, I've got a quarter of some sweets. They're called bullseyes. I like them. Do you?
That is it. No one respects me. Fine. They can bloody well do the work themselves then. I'm staying here.
The passengers didn't understand. Daisy had left them stranded on the platform.
They'll all soon see how much they need me.
Close your eyes and try to put yourself back in 2013. The latest Thomas movie was King of the Railway. The narrator is now Mark Morahan. Season 17 just started to come out. The animation looks a little different, the stories are actually good again, and holy crap, Duck's in it!
Oh dear.
Bill and Ben popped up, and even Harvey appeared. Wow, this new season is really good! Naturally, you start to think, if they brought back Duck and Bill and Ben and Harvey all in one season, who else could they potentially bring back in the next season? Well, those four were all pretty prominent before, so likely they would opt for characters of a similar status, right? So Oliver, maybe? If you bring back Oliver, then you gotta bring back Toad too. Maybe Donald and Douglas? Yeah, I could see them popping up eventually. Oh, and maybe Duncan? He's the only major narrow gauge engine they haven't shown yet. Oh, what about the Pack? Jack was in King of the Railway. Yeah, I could see them doing that. Kids like construction vehicles, right? Oh, I know. What about Daisy? Yeah, right. Yeah, no, that's never gonna happen. Daisy was barely in the old show. Why on earth would they ever? Oh my god. When Thomas went CGI, I don't think anyone ever expected Daisy of all characters to make a return. She was barely treated as existent at this point in time. The show's only ever mention of her in recent years was in one of those Mr. Perkins Railway Learning segment things, where he compared a real-life diesel railcar to her.
This is a diesel railcar, like Daisy.
Oh?
I don't even know who that is.
In 2015, Thomas and Friends celebrated its big 70th anniversary. The big movie that year was Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure, and series producer Ian McHugh and head writer Andrew Brenner really wanted to bring back as many of the Audrey characters as possible to make an appearance in it. It's why Donald and Douglas are in it, it's why the miniature engines debuted in it, and why Bill and Ben randomly appear for 2 seconds to get a line in. We were spoiled with how many characters appeared and returned in this, but they saved the best for last. In the movie's final scene, the Fat Controller says this.
And I'll be calling on a very special friend to look after all the passengers. Daisy, the diesel railcar.
Daisy? That's right, Thomas. Me!
And there she was. She spoke one line and didn't do anything noteworthy, but Daisy was officially a part of the CGI canon now. We all eagerly awaited to see what they had planned for her. Funnily enough, the show's animation studio, Arc Productions, actually teased us. They knew Daisy would be returning, so they slipped her into an episode of season 19, way in the background. Literally a blink and you'll miss it appearance. I didn't even notice this on my first watch. I had no idea she was even there until someone on Twitter pointed it out. Granted, this episode ended up airing after Lost Treasure had come out, so fans were already well aware of Daisy's return. But still, a fun Easter egg. Daisy received quite an upgrade with her CGI model. It had far better proportions than her prop, probably because they weren't restricted to a specific chassis this time. They also downsized her face and rose up her buffer beams. They toned down her makeup too. They didn't totally remove it or anything, as I think they knew it was a pretty iconic part of her design. No one wants to see a de-ossified Daisy, but her blush is more muted and her eyelashes are a little less fluttery. Pretty dang tasteful, I think. As her concept art showed, she was going to have a nameplate at one point on her front end, but it was removed for unknown reasons. I usually tend to prefer the props to the CGI models, but Daisy is one where I absolutely champion the CGI model more. It is such an improvement. Daisy really came into her own in Season 20, where she received a huge status quo change. Following Lost Treasure, the Fat Controller moved her to Harwick to work the new branch line, an extension that was once talked about in the Railway Series lore, and only recently was confirmed by Richard Audrey to have been built in it. Now the Harwick branch exists in all canons, uniquely occurring in the TV series universe first. One of these days I'm gonna have to do a whole video covering those Richard Audrey lore drops. Tracy Ann Oberman took over voicing Daisy starting in Season 20. And that's a name you EastEnders or Doctor Who fans watching probably recognize. I think giving Daisy to a completely new actress instead of one of the mains was a really smart decision. It helped make her sound very different from everyone else. Now, as much as I love Teresa Gallagher's work, her voice for Daisy in Lost Treasure was pretty generic.
That's right, Thomas. Me.
Oberman brought a new freshness to the character that was very much needed. She's quite theatrical in her performance for Daisy. I love how dramatic and blunt her reactions to things are.
Guess what I'm going to be doing tomorrow?
Sitting in your shed?
No. Annie and Clarabelle said I was grating, and I can't hear anything.
A dog? I don't want muddy footprints on my upholstery.
Please and thank you. Do you mind?
This new version of Daisy is quite a bit more hoity-toity than before. She's now a lover of the arts, and acts as if she lives a lifestyle of the upper class. She's rather cultured now, and even knows some French.
Thank you, Dindart. Merci beaucoup. It was magnifique.
Magnifique.
If I do say so moi-même.
I think these new developments, quite frankly, fit her perfectly. It's just enough of a new twist on the character to make her totally stand out from the pretty bloated cast at this point. No one in the show acts quite like Daisy does. Daisy appears a ton in the CGI series, almost to the extent of a main character. They really made up for all that lost time with her in the model series. So let's go through all her episodes one by one, and we'll start with Ryan and Daisy. This episode serves to re-establish the new status quo for Daisy, and recaps what she's all about to the new audience members that may not be familiar with her. We're briefly reminded that she used to work on Thomas's branch line, she doesn't have the best luck with bulls, and she still refuses to pull trucks.
She likes to do just what work she chooses. And no more.
All of this is accompanied with a new Daisy theme tune by Chris Renshaw. It doesn't have the same punch that Mike and Junior's did, in my opinion, but I still think it captures what Daisy is all about pretty dang well, and it's very catchy. This episode also spotlights Ryan and Daisy. Who would have guessed that with its title? Ryan and Daisy now work together on the new branch line, and we learn that the two don't exactly always get along. Ryan is a total pushover, and Daisy easily manipulates him into doing her work for her.
But the Fat Controller
Plus, you look great pulling the mail truck. Really useful.
Well, when you put it like that.
She takes it too far one day and gets Ryan and herself into trouble. The two make up at the end, and Daisy vows to be a better friend to him.
You're a good friend, Daisy!
I know I am, Ryan. And so are you.
If I were to critique anything about Daisy's usage in CGI, is that I think this dynamic with Ryan was really underused. They shared what I think was a really strong first episode, and then they never share the spotlight together again. They'll appear together and exchange words here and there, but Ryan pretty quickly got pushed to the wayside, while Daisy remained in the spotlight. They didn't really feel like partners still, as the show went on. I'd love it if we had just gotten one more Daisy and Ryan story. Daisy's next appearance was in The Railcar and the Coaches. And this is one of my favorite CGI episodes, because the concept is so inspired. This is a Daisy versus Annie and Clarabelle story, and features Daisy at her absolute worst. When the Harwick traffic dwindles during the winter, Daisy is moved back to Thomas's branch to help out. Annie and Clarabelle aren't needed, so Daisy is catty and rude to them, for really no reason.
I can go anywhere I like, but you have to wait for an engine to come along. So old-fashioned and out of date. And never pull coaches.
That's just rude!
And Annie and Clarabelle, understandably, detest her. They skim up a plan to teach Daisy a lesson.
Sounds like rusty spring.
A perfectly dreadful noise.
Terribly grating.
Which backfires horribly.
Everybody off! Everybody out! I need to speak to a professional.
Daisy goes crazy thinking that there's something wrong with her, and Annie and Clarabelle get abandoned in the middle of nowhere. Keep in mind, these three's only interaction prior to this was that one scene in Daisy, 30 years ago.
This is better, but whatever is that rubbish? We won't stay here to be insulted, they fumed.
Writer Davey Moore took this brief interaction and formed an entire rivalry out of it. A rivalry so strong that it carried its own episode and carried over into others as well.
Who's that?
Oh, it's Daisy the Diesel Railcar.
Daisy doesn't need coaches.
I love that there's never a big apology scene, and the world just goes on with them all continuing to not like each other. I love that so much. Not every story needs a joyful, everyone loves each other and now we're all gonna laugh happily kind of ending. Just like in the real world, sometimes there are people that will just never get along. If you've never bothered to watch CGI Thomas, then I highly recommend you give this episode a watch. I guarantee that you'll enjoy it. Daisy's trouble with bulls comes to light again in The Missing Breakdown Train, when a bull decides to cross her path. Well, that was dramatic. I love that bulls causing trouble for Daisy became a recurring gag in CGI. I guess she forgot that Toby taught her how to shoo them away, huh? The way she does it puts Daisy fully in the spotlight this time, an episode that showcases her new love for the arts. She is told to collect some performers for a show later, and all day she gets ideas in her head about what kind of performers they are, continuing to inflate her own delusions.
Tomorrow, I'm collecting a troupe of travelling players.
Right.
Who are arriving to stage a son et lumière, as they call it du continent.
Very good, Daisy. Yes. That engine. I have no idea what she was talking about.
These traveling players turn out to be puppeteers, shattering Daisy's idea of them. In classic Thomas fashion, she let her imagination get the best of her and neglected all her other jobs leading up to the event. Now everything is disarrayed.
But they didn't bring the van with the puppet stand either.
Huh? Well, then, I don't know what we're going to do now.
But it all works out in the end. The puppeteers perform the show within Daisy, and everyone has a good laugh, including Daisy, who by the end of all of this, learned to laugh at herself for once.
Yes, I am thoroughly modern and bang up to date.
It's kind of a typical hit era-y type of story, but it has a lot of good humor and character work in it. Not to mention overall great direction. You can tell they had fun with this one in the storyboard phase. I'd argue that this was sort of a turning point for Daisy in the series. All of her episodes this season have used her as an antagonist. She manipulated Ryan, she was rude to Annie and Clarabelle for no reason, and even here where she is the protagonist, she's rather selfish. This whole season really showed Daisy at her worst. So what did season 21 have to say about her? Season 21 premiered with 2 Daisy episodes back to back, Springtime for Diesel and A Most Singular Engine. Previously, we saw Daisy's stories that focused on characters that are relevant to her. Season 21 pushed the envelope and started pairing her up with random ones that she's never met before. Springtime for Diesel is the big one, which is a story that follows Diesel feeling guilty after bumping into Daisy and causing her to snap her springs.
What did you do that for?
Well, I was just saying hello. What do you want me to do? Say sorry?
There's some great character work for Diesel in this, all of which I've talked about before. But Daisy is also a standout here. I love how after her springs snap, she still carries on and gets her passengers home, despite her condition.
But for the sake of my passengers, I must carry on. At least to the next station.
I'm reminded of this line from Duck regarding Diesels in Super Rescue.
We show what frauds you are. Call yourselves engines. If anything happens, you care nothing for your train. You just moan for a fitter. We bring it home, if only on one cylinder.
Daisy, the Diesel who always wailed for her fitter, didn't this time. She put her passengers first and went on with the job. A wonderful little heroic moment for her. She has another great moment towards the end, in what is a moment where you'd think Daisy would forgive Diesel. But she doesn't. She doubles down and lays into him. Daisy, previously always an antagonist, delivers the story's moral.
I know you feel bad for what you did. but I don't like being bumped. No one does. If you want to make friends, Diesel, you need to change your ways.
It's really nice seeing her character actually evolve a bit since the previous season. She's become a great contrast to Diesel. Diesel and Daisy were introduced in the same season, and Diesel arguably devolved over the series, which is very apparent when you contrast him to Daisy, who has, in her own ways, grown for the better. Diesel apparently didn't learn much from this though, because the two are back at odds in the very next episode, A Most Singular Engine. Diesel, offended by Daisy's comments, decides to create a fake rivalry between her and Harvey, of all characters. He spreads rumors and gets into each other's heads, fueling a mutual hatred for each other, despite neither never having met before. However, the two do finally meet, and...
You're not supposed to be friends!
they end up getting along just fine. What a creative story idea, pairing up two very unique different engines built for very specific jobs. Never ever in my life would I have guessed we would get an episode that stars Daisy and Harvey together. The CGI series was fun about that. We'd sometimes get the craziest pairings that you'd never expect. Gator and Toad, Toby and Den, Diesel and Hero, James and Duck, Timothy and Porter. The list goes on. This experimentation was appreciated. Daisy's final lead role was in Daisy's Perfect Christmas, a story that dealt with her learning to accept change. Daisy always looks forward to Christmas because she loves the traditions. However, this year is different. There's no snow this year, the station lights don't work, and her caroling gets interrupted by trucks.
Worst day ever.
While she's fuming about this, Ryan and the others console her and teach her that just because Christmas this year wasn't the same as usual, doesn't mean it was bad. It was a new type of Christmas. This is the weakest Daisy story of the CGI series, in my opinion. I personally find it a little boring. But I think it was great that they chose Daisy to lead a story with a moral like this. Keeping in mind that when she first arrived, Daisy was the arbiter of change. She put down the old, the traditional, in favor of the new.
I'm the latest Diesel, highly sprung and right up to date. You won't want Thomas's bumpy old Annie and Clarabelle now.
And now here she is, years later, in the opposite position, favoring the old and refusing to accept the new. They could have really used any character for this story, so I think it's pretty inspired that they went with Daisy for it. I also appreciate the consistency that she hates the cold of winter.
Daisy, the Diesel Railcar, doesn't care too much for winter. Daisy would happily spend the whole of winter in her shed.
A nice nod to what she learned all the way back in Snow Problem. Daisy is definitely a summer girl. Daisy did have some subtle growth over all her appearances, starting out at her absolute worst, and over time generally mellowing out, to a point where she's the one delivering morals and learning to accept major change. Something that I really like about Season 21 and beyond is how Daisy is just a part of the world now. In Season 20, she only appeared when she was integral to a story, but now Daisy will just appear anywhere, picking up passengers at Knapford in the background of random episodes. It only took them 20 seasons to get to this point, but finally Daisy is fully just a part of the daily Sodor life now. Seeing shots like this, Daisy at the station when James whooshes in, does make me realize something though. She had very little interaction with the main characters. Other than some occasional words shared with Thomas or Duck, Daisy is very much in her own bubble of Sodor. And I feel we may have missed out on seeing how she'd interact with someone else pompous like James or Gordon. Hell, an Emily and Daisy story could have been really interesting. Her never seeing Toby also feels like a missed opportunity, considering he was her mentor early on and the two became friends. I think this does speak to just how strong of a character Daisy is on her own though. She never needed to lean on the other mains to carry stories. Daisy continued to appear throughout the Big World seasons, though only occasionally. She took kids to school at Knapford when their school got damaged by a storm in School of Duck, and she met Rebecca in her own Daisy way.
Wow! An engine with no need for coaches? How brilliant is that?
Yes, it is. I am quite brilliant.
She returned for one more appearance in season 24, in which she talked up how great of a place Harwick is.
Peaceful and marvelously chic. You'll feel like you're on holiday every day.
They brought Tracy Ann Oberman back to say a single line of dialogue for this season. Wonder how much that cost them. Davey Moore wrote all of Daisy's episodes, and he really just got her. You can tell that he extracted every element he possibly could from her original book stories, and crafted plots out of them. Her refusal to pull trucks, using her fitter as an excuse to not do something.
It's fitter's orders, she said.
I can't pull a mail truck. It's fitter's orders.
Manipulating others, looking down on the coaches, her trouble with bulls, hating the cold of winter, everything. Not a morsel of information was overlooked. And he successfully managed to take all of that and elevate Daisy to a whole new level, while adding his own twist. A far more fleshed out character that could carry stories all on her own, and stole the spotlight whenever she showed up. She was someone who could be sympathetic and relatable and capable of growth, and at the same time she could also be a smug villain you craved to see get her just desserts. That's range, baby. Moore took what was once viewed as a bad example of a female character on the show, and made her possibly the best female character on the show, or at the very least, a really entertaining one. 3 decades after she was first introduced, and that is nothing short of impressive. Daisy's renaissance in the CGI series is one of the most interesting things about the CGI series as a whole, in my opinion. It's a real testament to how much limitless potential this era of the show had, and how in this case, they took full advantage of it. I'm still in disbelief that Mattel even allowed Daisy to come back, and approved the show to use her so freely and so often. While some of the other returnees like Oliver or Donald and Douglas I would describe as missed opportunities or sorely underused, I cannot say the same for Daisy. They were incredibly generous to her, and she is easily one of the CGI series highlights. From a green literal Two-Face, to a somewhat controversial figure, to an absolute highlight of the whole show, Daisy may have had the most interesting journey of all characters we've covered in Sodor's Finest so far. It's so funny looking at her appearances on the wiki page, seeing Season 2, Season 4, and then a major jump to Season 20, with all these episode titles listed after. I don't think anyone has a more disarrayed ratio of appearances than Daisy has had. Now that we've covered Daisy in full, which of the 3 eras do I think handled her the best? Well, it ain't the model series, that's for sure. You all know the answer to this one. You knew it before you even clicked on the video. The CGI series clears this time. It was Daisy's usage in CGI that made me really appreciate her as a character. Not only did it give her a lot of love and time to flourish, but she grew a bit too. She interacted with so many faces, and really felt like she was a part of the world and not just a random gimmick. We saw many sides to her evil, manipulative side, and her more moral side. She had range. And I hope that we will, someday, see this sassy railcar again in a future iteration of Thomas and Friends. But only time will tell.
True to her word, Daisy would not move. Days passed, and no matter what anyone said to her, they couldn't convince her to budge. Even the Fat Controller came and said a few choice words for her, but still Daisy remained silent and solitary.
Well, we've tried everything, and Daisy's staying put. That leaves just you two. You'll have to make do until her fitter can get her started again. Sort out the jobs among yourselves.
Yes, sir.
I say, Toby, anyone would think we've nothing to do. And now the passengers are all complaining.
Tell you what, Percy, I'll handle the passengers. Henrietta could use a nice run. Why don't you fetch my trucks from the quarry?
Really? You'd let me do that?
Of course. We have to make ourselves useful after all.
Percy had never been to Toby's quarry before. He felt important now. When he arrived, he began marshalling the trucks about in a lordly way.
Hurry along! Hurry along!
Hey, what's the deal here? This is Toby's place.
Percy's got no right to poke his funnel in here and boss us around.
We'll just have to pay him out then. Pay Percy out. Pay Percy out.
Pay Percy out.
Pay Percy out.
Come along now. No nonsense.
I will give him nonsense.
Soon the line started to descend. A large notice warned them to pin down their brakes. Percy's brakes came on, and this was the signal for the trucks. Percy was away, with the stupid trucks yelling and shouting behind. The man on duty at the crossing ran out to halt traffic with his red flag. Percy barreled past, whistling frantically. Desperately trying to grip the rails, he slid into the yard.
Look out!
At last, all went silent.
I have had it! Between Thomas and Daisy, and now this, I don't know which to be more upset about. We must now try to run the branch line with Toby and a lazy diesel who refuses to work.
I'm sorry, sir.
Well, it wasn't your fault, Percy. It was those stupid trucks. But this has put us in an awkward predicament. You will stay there until we are ready for you. Perhaps it'll teach you to be a bit more careful with trucks in future.
Yes, sir.
As for you, my engines work hard. I send lazy engines away. And after the little stunt that you pulled, Daisy, I shall be sending you...
Excuse me, sir. We don't mean to interrupt, but Daisy did work hard after Percy's accident. She felt so guilty that she helped me sort out these trucks.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Didn't you, Daisy?
Yes.
Huh. Well then. I suppose that changes things. I trust Toby's word, and if he says that you worked hard, then perhaps you deserve another chance. But you're on thin ice, Daisy.
Oh, thank you, sir. I will work hard, sir. Toby says he'll help me.
Excellent. What Toby doesn't know about branch line problems, such as, bulls, isn't worth knowing. Toby's an experienced engine. You're in charge now, Toby.
Yes, sir.
After the mess was cleared, Percy was taken away to be mended. Daisy went to handle the passengers, and Toby hurried to the quarry to collect more stone. At the end of a busy day, Toby stopped to see Daisy.
Hello, Daisy.
Hi, Toby. Thank you for sticking up for me earlier. You really shouldn't have lied to the Fat Controller like that. I didn't deserve it.
Don't think twice about it, Daisy. I believe everyone deserves a second chance to prove themselves. I wouldn't be here if the Fat Controller didn't give me one. No one deserves to be sent away just for a few mistakes.
I'm sorry I was so rude to you and the others. Can we start over? Maybe even be friends?
Absolutely. You and I are going to be looking after things for a while here, so we'd best get used to working together. Hey, when we have a chance, maybe I'll even show you how to shoo away bulls, huh?
I'd like that.
Toby and Daisy managed well together, but they were relieved when things finally returned to normal. Thomas and Percy came home from the works, and now Thomas and Daisy split the passenger duties.
Hello, Daisy. So I take it you're staying, huh?
Bertie, come on, be sensible.
A bus can dream, can't he? You should crash in the houses more often, Thomas.
Daisy has learned a great deal from Toby, and the two are good friends now. She even managed to shoo a cow off the line the other day, all by herself. As for pulling trucks, well, she's still working on that.
For this pick of the week, I'm spotlighting a bit of an oldie. It's Thomas and Daisy by TARDIS Rescue. While working on this video, I watched a bunch of fan stories featuring Daisy, and this is one of my favorites. Thomas and Daisy barely interacted in the old show, so this is a story that puts a spotlight on the both of them. It's very well shot, has great voice acting, and a really fun score. If you've never seen it or just want some new Daisy content, check it out. And if you've seen it already, well, why not watch it again, huh? As always, I want to give a huge thank you to everyone who participated in this video. Lorraine Hodgson voiced Daisy, and she did a stellar job. So many great lines from her in this. Chase, aka CTFeologist, got a huge part to play as Toby this time. Always love hearing your Toby voice, Chase. I'm so happy that we got to do a story with Toby so heavily in the spotlight. Robin Edwards as Thomas and Percy, always a treat. Tom Marshall as our narrator, who never misses. Kyle, aka Trampy, as Bertie and several others. Cam, aka MainlandStudios, as the Stationmaster. Natalie Nightingale stepping in as Annie and Clarabelle. And Miranda Hunter as Henrietta. What an amazing cast. You all were splendid. And once again, a huge shout out to Isaiah, aka One Tram Band, for his amazing score. I provided him some variations of the Cruella de Vil theme, and told him I wanted Daisy's theme in a similar style. And boy did he deliver. Isaiah, you never miss, and I always love hearing a new Sodor's Finest score from you. The music of Upload will be out next week, so you all can hear it in its full glory. Bit of a random shout out, but I'd like to draw your attention to Farquhar BLT. Some of you may know him from Instagram, where he posts his amazing Farquhar layout. He's a talented modeler and a big inspiration to me. He recently put out a series revolving around his OC, Nellie, paired with beautiful Railway Series-like illustrations. I play Percy in the first episode. Go give that series a watch, and follow him on Instagram to see more of his amazing layout. Links in the description. So, what's next then? I'm about to leave on a trip with my wife at the start of October, so the channel may be a bit quiet for a little while. But what I'd love to do next is another sidetracked episode. I know exactly the character that I want to cover, but I won't be saying which just yet. After that, I will finally dive into the Season 15 retrospective. I have been kinda putting this off, not gonna lie, to give myself a bit of a break from this era of Thomas. A man can only watch so many Nitrogen episodes before he needs to step away. But it will be happening. That'll be the next big project, and I'd like to have that out sometime in November. And that's all I've got for you all today. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and look out for the individual story segments upload, coming soon. Have a great day, all, and I'll see you all in the next one. Au revoir!